there's nowhere to improve and you're stuck and nobody knows about it. And that's the worst part. Nobody can help you because they don't know. And you're already so deep in this that you can't even help yourself because you are so terrified of telling people. What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Actually Good Coffee Podcast, the show where we talk about all things coffee related, all while I drink a cup of coffee. Today was a very hectic day. I had to run around a little bit in New Jersey. We have a cafe being built in brick, running into some issues with the plumber. I didn't get a chance. I don't think I drank coffee at all today. All right, but that's all right. I'm still going to do this episode. So this past week, we sold 722 pounds of coffee, bringing the grand total to more than we sold last year this same week. If you remember, we sold 705 pounds last year the same week, which I believe actually puts us in a higher average for the month of May in 2024 than 2023. To be exact, in the month of May for 2023, we sold 625 pounds of coffee on average per week. For the year 2024, month of May, per week average, we sold 656 pounds of coffee average. Did I say average? I'm pretty sure I said it about 5 times. That is 31 pounds more than we did last year. Always good news, always exciting. Let's get to the topic of today's episode. The topic of today's episode is called Embracing Your Failures. This is something that I struggle with. I continue to do so. It's something that I like to work on. It's part of the reason actually why I stopped doing the Really Good Coffee reviews, because I was afraid of my shortcomings, any failures that I might have had, maybe any immature videos that I felt were immature. I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do to help embrace your failures. All right, number 1, it gives you a chance to grow. These times where you might run into a shortcoming or some sort of time where you didn't achieve your goal, or you might have done something that you don't feel as confident that you did at the time. Looking back on my Really Good Coffee reviews, there are definitely, I almost cringe at times because it's just, there are some episodes that I just think are so silly and might not help me out in the long run at all. But I also think that those moments that I can reflect back on give me the opportunity to improve. By embracing those times in my life and seeing those honest moments in myself, I can see in areas where I've gotten better and in areas where there's still a lot of room to grow on. During these times, I like to stay in it as long as I can so that I don't forget. I actually get happy when I mess up sometimes because I know that that means that I can improve. It's like, I'm not trying to just make it about working out, but it's like when you're working out in the gym, right? And you find an exercise that you're not good at. Some people stay away from that. I actually do more of that as much as I can so that I can make that one of my strongest points. You're only as strong as your weakest link. You're trying to make as strong of a chain possible. And by embracing those things that you may be weak in, you actually give yourself the biggest chance to improve, which I don't think people actually think about. If you are good at something, you can get better, obviously, but when you focus on those things that you might not be good at or you might be weak in, it gives you the most potential to grow in sometimes the shortest amount of time. So that's number 1. Number 2 is authenticity. In a world where it's getting easier and easier to hide your insecurities, I find that people will find it more and more difficult to relate with other people. I think this is exemplified obviously through social media. It's pretty interesting to see actually the advancement of technology and the progression and betterment of a lot of these simple things that we use every day. And the purpose is to actually bring people together when in reality it seems to be separating us further and further. When you're honest about your flaws, it allows for a stronger base in which you can build a relationship on. So whenever you meet somebody new, maybe you meet a girl or a guy that you're interested in, you could fake this relationship or this communication that you have with them. It can only lead you so far. And especially when you're trying to grow as a person and grow maybe with this individual, it's like you're wasting time. You are almost spending time when you're not your most authentic self in a situation. You're someone that you're not. When you're not your most authentic self in a situation, you're wasting time. That time spent with whoever that might be, it might be a friend, a partner, somebody that you've met through work, you are now needing to fulfill this role that you've built on a false reality. And look, I think you should gauge the situation to determine how open that you should be, but I really think that the best relationships come from just how open you can be. And that honesty that you provide, that authenticity that you can provide, can actually shorten the time spent on somebody who shouldn't have even been in your life in the first place. You're publicly embracing your failures that will ultimately give you the greatest potential to grow from the person you once were into the person that you're aiming to be. Number 3 is actually, I'm going to give you guys a real life example. So I had a conversation with a friend the other day who I haven't spoken with in a long time, just because we just both went in our own ways. And I remember talking to him, and it was really nice. It was a really good conversation. We were just talking about what life has been like these past few years and how we got to the point where we're at now. And he actually talked to me about how he developed a drug addiction at one point. And he said how he was just hanging out with the wrong people. He mentioned how he just doesn't even want to be around those people anymore. And it makes sense. And I think it's a great thing that a lot of people don't realize in their life, and they get sucked into this black hole that they're never able to escape. And I think what something like a drug addiction allows you to do is you're publicly making this mistake. You can't really hide a drug addiction. You can, but only to a certain degree. And I hope I'm not being ignorant when I say this, but what I mean is that by going out and doing this, you're performing a public act that other people can pick up on and hopefully help you get out of. And I think that, not that you should develop a drug addiction, but when you're comparing vices to have, this is something that you can at least publicly acknowledge and suffer the consequences of, so that you gain more potential to actually recover from it. Later on in the conversation, he also told me about a porn addiction that he used to have. Part of the reason why I feel like a porn addiction is so detrimental and can be so dangerous is that you can hide that so well, and you are dealing with minimal consequences from these actions. It's something that can cause the most detriment to your life without suffering any sort of immediate consequences by performing this act. I mean, when you're looking for a relationship, you're trying to find someone, it might go wrong. It might suck. You might go on a date with a girl and it goes so wrong and you feel so shitty about yourself, but you can at least take something away from that situation and learn from it and move on and apply that to the next situation that you find yourself in, and going on a date with some girl or guy or whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is that you're going and you're publicly acknowledging your flaws, you're embracing these failures, and you are able to then improve on them. When you're jerking off to porn, it's not even that you're not gaining anything from it, it's that you are minimizing the consequences, so much so that you are leaving no room for improvement. You are setting yourself in stone. There is no room to grow. There's nowhere to improve, and you're stuck. And nobody knows about it. And that's the worst part. Nobody can help you because they don't know. And you're already so deep in this that you can't even help yourself because you are so terrified of telling people. It was a great conversation, I really think, and I'm grateful for it because it really kind of laid this situation out where luckily my friend was able to get out of both of these situations. He's in a great relationship now. He started his job, which he's doing really well in, and he's just like really 180'd his life. And I think part of that is because this person was such a outgoing figure in my early life that I think that's part of the reason why he was able to just turn his life around. So because because he was just very public about everything that he was doing. If you have a chance to be privately or publicly wrong, I would choose public 10 out of 10 times, because that's the only way you can get better. And this leads me to something that I say, it seems like it's just becoming a trend in these episodes, and I say it a lot, but your mission is to pick a goal and pray that that goal is good enough to the point that when you are laying in bed at night wondering how you found yourself in such a miserable position, you are going to wish you spent more time figuring out why you have set out on this journey you are currently embarking. I think that's it. Thank you guys for listening. I will talk to you again very soon.